Okay. We'll keep the headphones in.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you guys for being so extremely patient with us. The internet has not been our friend today, but we are here finally. We're so glad to have you guys on here with us for another edition of Breaking It Down. And today it's myself, Mo, and Hannah. And we're going to be chatting with you a little bit about postpartum health and physiotherapy. So, for those of you who don't know me, if you're watching from Hannah's page, my name is Mosope. I'm the founder of BethelFitMum. I am a mom, obviously, of three. Whoops, everything is falling. Um, of three kids. I am extremely passionate about supporting postpartum moms, um, really in all walks of life. So for me, you're postpartum forever, right? Once you have a baby, you're postpartum. And I am so passionate about educating, empowering, and equipping moms to just live extremely empowered lives, to be strong, to be healthy, um, and just, to feel good in their bodies, no matter what it looks like um, after you've had a baby. And I started this series because I thought it was so important to really chat about, you know, um, the different things that moms face in postpartum. So it's not just one thing, it's a lot of things. And one thing that I found is that oftentimes, we have that 6 week checkup and then we're basically on our own. And, we basically have to go searching for all the other things, which is what happened to me. Um, and I wanted to share what I've learned on my journey in 8 years of being a mom and, almost 9 years actually. And I also wanted to share some of the amazing women that I've been privileged to meet on my journey who are also supporting moms in their own way. So today we have Hannah here, and I'll let her go ahead and introduce herself to you guys, and then we'll kind of get into a really quick chit chat here because we don't want to take your time. We know lunchtime is almost over because we had all those technical things. So we'll make it quick, we promise. So yeah, Hannah, go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone who's watching.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me on. So I'm a physiotherapist, just in private practice physio. So we all learn a very general amount of pelvic floor and like women's health physio in our degree. And from that super small amount, basically there's a huge gap in the healthcare system and the care for moms anywhere on their journey. Essentially, there's not a whole lot of information that gets given, like just in terms of like where to go, who to see. It's kind of like pregnancy and having a baby is just like it's a normal part of life, and for some reason there's no extra care for that. And so that's what's made me like more passionate about helping moms as well, just seeing more and more on my journey as a physio, the not even just complaints, just like a little bit of like the unawareness of like the things that are out there for moms now. And I think that's getting like more and more common, but it's still so uncommon in that sense that that's why I like to kind of chat about it and make sure that that information is out there, just so that women know that these resources do exist. So as a private practice physio, I do tend to see all sorts of things. And so like moms are kind of just like in the mix in that sort of sense, especially because moms are usually, or if it's like you're in your pregnancy as well and not a mom yet, it's still kind of that idea of staying active, feeling good, moving well. And that's kind of how physio, that's probably, yeah, just how physio starts to kind of integrate into the journey throughout pregnancy and then afterwards.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hannah. So for those of us who are watching and have never even heard of physiotherapy before, what is physiotherapy? Like what does a physiotherapist do? And why is it important to me as a postpartum mom?
So physios end up looking at like your movement as a whole. We want to make sure that things are like moving well, muscles are feeling good. If there's, we do work with like acute injuries. So say if you sprained your ankle, we would have a look at that, help to diagnose it. Say if you had a surgery on like your knee, we also help to rehab that or do
Mm.
prehab as well. So exercise before a surgery. And basically it's kind of like almost like movement specialists in that way, that like we help to kind of like break down your movement a little bit to then build it back up. So it depends on what your pain or restriction or issue is, because we actually have such a broad view and like skill set in that sense. So again, private practice physio is what I do when you come to a clinic, but there is physiotherapy for say like neurological conditions, for like cardiorespiratory conditions, for
Mm.
pediatrics, for kids. And so that's all aside.
Yeah.
For a mom or for a pregnant woman, it can be how you can help your body stay moving the best, and feeling the best while you're on that journey. So that looks like maybe a bit of hands-on work, maybe a little bit of exercise prescription, kind of going from there. So hopefully that answered a bit of that question.
Yeah, I think it did. No, that was awesome. And you use the word rehab. So like, am I broken? Like, I'm a mom, I've had a baby. Why am I rehabbing? Like, I'm not broken. Rehab is what people do when they have a problem, right? I don't have a problem. I feel great. Why would I come to a physiotherapist?
Totally, yeah. And that is actually something that does come up too, is that even people without, say, like sporting injuries didn't know that they could come see a physio. And so it's
Mm,
more about like the changes that your body goes through and how it starts like
mm,
slowly adapting to the different things that you are going through. So having a baby and being pregnant is quite an experience. And I haven't experienced it
mm,
myself, but again, I've seen a lot of moms go through it. And physically, there are a lot of changes that you have to deal with. And so it's less about thinking about rehab because you're specifically in pain or rehab specifically because it's an injury. It's more about how you can just be moving your best while your body is going through changes and allowing your body to create strategies to be stronger in the new positions that you might have to be in.
awesome. Thank you for that. And you know what? I love that because, like I said at the start of this, postpartum is forever. Like, my body will never be the way it was when I was 25. It'll never be that way again. Um, and that's not a bad thing. Like, I'm stronger now than I was at 25. I have better awareness of my body. I have better core strength, and I have like more physical strength. I mean, the bigger my kids get, the more physical strength I actually need, because like, my 8-year old is almost as tall as me and he still wants me to pick him up a few times a week, right? So
Totally.
obviously, just because I'm not the same as I was at 25 doesn't mean that there's something wrong with me now. I can actually be much stronger, much more aware of my body, and I can actually do a lot more things that I could do back then. Because like, I mean, if I've never had 100-pound like child
Yeah,
before, so of course my
exactly.
body doesn't know what to do with that, right? So,
Exactly. That's it. Yeah.
and I love that. I love that, the way you describe that, because really we want moms to understand that you're not broken. Once we hear physiotherapist, and like Hannah said, a lot of us have always thought of it in like the sports medicine. Like, we always hear that basketball teams travel with a physiotherapist, and like hockey players travel. Moms should also travel with a physiotherapist. Like,
Exactly.
not not necessarily everywhere you go, but you know what? You should have your own physiotherapist that you check in with a few times a year, even if you don't have an injury, like Hannah said, because your body has changed. And even having that awareness that your body has changed, your hips will forever be wider. It doesn't matter if you go back to wearing the same jean size that you did when you were 16. Your hips have opened up to let out a baby. And even if you didn't have a vaginal birth, if you had a birth through cesarean section or some other assistance, your hips still opened up to carry that baby. Like, you still widen. So like,
Exactly.
everything is shifted, right? So I really love that explanation, Hannah.
Yeah.
Um, what do you find is the most common thing that moms come to see you for?
There's a few different areas. If we kind of go like top down almost, in terms of once a person has had their baby, it ends up being a lot of breastfeeding positions, a lot of kind of
Mm,
like carrying and holding the baby in front of your body. And that can also be for like a decent amount of time because you're more worried about trying to get the baby to latch rather than your own comfort in that situation. And so
yeah.
it can be a lot of like neck, a lot of that mid back, a lot of tightness in through the front, which someone may not have noticed before as much. So definitely,
Mm,
that's a big area. The other thing can be kind of like lower back and glutes and that sort of area as well. So your center of mass obviously changes as you are growing with the baby. And then once you're now carrying the baby outside of you, your body has to again adjust. And so it can be some of that like lower back tightness, stiffness, soreness, as well as just like how the leg muscles are being used at that point now, because again, your center of
mhm,
mass has shifted. And so sometimes it can look like not feeling super stable on a single leg or like going up and down stairs, those types of things. And again, just a little bit of
mhm,
like that soreness from those postural changes throughout the pregnancy journey. So it ends up, those are probably the two main areas, but if there can be some other like wrist and forearm type stuff just from having to hold again so much, or it can be
mhm,
a little bit more of like trunk rib cage again from having to carry things by your side. So those are still common, just not as common as, say, like the mid back and neck, and then the lower back and hips for sure.
That's awesome. I mean, I've been to Hannah and I strongly, strongly believe in physio and a lot of the things that she just mentioned. Like, I'm into fitness, I've been exercising, most of my adult life. And I just kept right on exercising after having my babies. And it's taken me till my mid 30s to realize all of these things that Hannah is saying, because I think we get into this compensation mode, right? We do something and it doesn't feel quite right. And we kind of convince ourselves that, like, maybe we're not doing it properly or there's something wrong with our bodies. Or, you know what? They say once you've had a baby, you'll never feel great doing this and that. Like, I don't think it has to be that way. I truly believe that, like, our bodies are designed to have these babies. So I don't think that after having these babies, our bodies will now be like, will now be living in pain for the rest of our lives. I honestly don't
Exactly.
believe that that's how these bodies were created to be. So we just need to know and be educated by amazing people like Hannah on what we need to do so that we can continue to do the things that we love and we can do it pain free, because that's what I'm all about. We should
Yes.
not be in pain. Mom should not be in pain, in any kind of pain, because I don't want you to stop exercising because you're in pain. And if you're in pain, if you're watching right now, you're feeling pain, you've heard what Candace talked about, and you've thought, oh, I think that kind of applies to me. I definitely felt that way. She's your gal. So, yeah, those are some of the questions that I had for Hannah. And then my final question for you, Hannah, is, so when a mom comes, what do you do? Right? Like, how do you treat her? Like, I mean, of course, I'm not asking you to go into like
Super
crazy
detail.
detail, but like, yeah, but what do you do for these moms? We've talked about the issues that may bring them to you, and so then what do you do?
So essentially, again, depending on like where you're feeling the most, maybe like pain or restriction, we'll kind of start in through there. So for that sort of like upper mid back, a little bit of that neck, it'll be a discussion around how we can fit a few exercises, a few stretches within your day to day. So it's not realistic as well for physios to expect new moms to now go do like this giant exercise program prescribed by their physio. So basically, we're going to look at what your day looks like and where you can fit in one or two sort of exercises that are going to open up through the front, strengthen in through the back, and ease off some of the tension that you're now feeling in through this upper part here. So that's it can be one or two exercises. Honestly, it's going to be more about like what that mom is ready to do and how we can
Mm,
incorporate it into how you're caring for your baby at this point. That then goes into like lower back and glutes as well. So it's like, how can we talk about setting up posture wise for when you are feeding? So, like, can we get some pillows in there? Can we relax your shoulders from your ears? Just relaxing them down, just having that awareness even is a good point to kind of start discussing. Can we get a pillow of support behind your lower back? Can we make sure that, like,
mm,
once they're latched on, can you now relax into the chair? So, it's even just
mm,
little awareness like that, so that you can do those things while you're caring for your child. And then
mm,
outside of that, it's like, all right, now can we get some double leg stability going on? Can we then progress that to single leg stability? Can you work on these things while you are walking up and down the stairs? So rather than feeling like you have to do reps and sets of certain exercises, can you incorporate them into like how you're already moving during the day? So it's really big on like fitting it in to the mom's life already, and
mm.
then just making sure that it's like little bite-sized actions so it feels very tangible and doable, and then working towards like their bigger goals. So it's all those like little step by step, but we'll start small, make sure that it's doable, and then kind of start working out from there.
That's so awesome. And I love that you said that we just try to incorporate it into your life. So we're not adding this extra layer of like reps and sets and things for you to do, which is one of the things I love about Hannah. We both have very similar philosophies on like how moms should be exercising or taking care of their bodies. Like, it's not supposed to stress you out. It's not supposed to be this other thing that you have to add to your list and feel guilty about if you don't get to it every day. It really needs to become a habit, a part of your life, something that
Mm-hmm.
you do kind of automatically. And she's mentioned while you're breastfeeding, while you're going up and down the stairs, while you're doing all those things anyways. So
Exactly.
that is amazing. And so yeah, that's all the questions I had for Hannah. Hannah, do you have any questions for me? Like,
Yeah, I have a
what's
couple questions
yeah.
just in terms of how when you're meeting with whether like wherever the mom is along her pregnancy journey, what kind of things do you end up like seeing in your clients that make you think, oh, maybe this person would be like they should go see a physiotherapist?
Yeah, that is an awesome question. So I I have been to see physiotherapy. Obviously, I've been to Hannah, and it's funny. I've always sent my clients to physiotherapists. I've always mostly pelvic floor physiotherapists, and I didn't for a long time realize how important it was for them to also go see a physiotherapist that works more with like your posture and everything, and like really thinks about days of the activities of daily living that you're doing, breastfeeding, bending over, picking up, lifting, all that stuff. And when I went to go see Hannah, even as a trainer and even as someone with as much experience and education as I had, she pointed out a lot of things to me too. And since then, I've just been like, oh guys, you need to go to the physiotherapist. You need to go see Hannah. And for me, it's when I notice a mom is constantly complaining about stuff. So she's saying, oh, I always feel aches and pains in my body. She's saying that, oh, like breastfeeding is super hard on my back, or she's having postural issues. So I've had clients who pregnancy wasn't necessarily the thing that caused their postural issues. They might have had a postural issue or an injury from childhood or adolescence, but pregnancy has still changed their body. So imagine if
Mhm.
you have something that happened to you at 10, say, and you had to have surgery for it, and you've kind of learned how to deal with your body in that season. But then all of a sudden you come and have a baby in your 30s. Now your body has to learn like the compensations that you've come up with, or the exercises or whatever you've been doing up until that point doesn't work for you anymore, because now your body has gone through another change on top of the original change. I
Exactly.
like to send those kind of people to people like Hannah, because I want them to go and discuss the strategy that they may have been told to use when they were 15, and see if it still works at 35, right?
Totally.
Because maybe it doesn't anymore. Your body has changed now. And so those are the kind of things that would prompt me to send a client to Hannah. Those are the kind of things that prompt me to go to Hannah. So like I see Hannah a couple, I mean, more than a couple times a year, but I see
Yeah.
her frequently. And one of the things that prompts me to go is once I start to feel some sort of way, like I'm doing my deadlifts and all of a sudden like deadlifts are feeling funny, and I know I'm doing it right. I know I've got the right like posture. I know I've got the right techniques. I need to go see Hannah and be like, okay, what's going on with me? Like, what's going on with my body? And she can easily be like, yeah, I think this is what's going on. Let's work on this. Let's work on that. Let's use these strategies instead of these strategies. And boom, pain is gone. So that is what makes me go to you, and that is what makes
Yeah.
me send people to you. So
Yeah, which is awesome. Yeah. We get explanation. Yeah. And do you find that
yeah.
there's like some barriers that like your clients face for a reason that like maybe I mean maybe they just don't know that like this type of physio could help them?
Mhm.
Or yeah, like what are the biggest barriers to them coming to see a physio after they've had their baby?
Yeah, I think one of the things that we've already addressed is
Hmm.
that like rehab thought. Like everyone thinks that you only go to physiotherapy after you've been in a car accident or after you've fallen off a chair, right?
Yeah.
So people feel like I'm not broken, there's nothing wrong with me, I don't need to go to a physiotherapist. So oftentimes I'll find clients are very surprised when I ask them, "Have you been to see a physio?" They're looking at me like, "Why would I go see a physio? Like ain't nothing wrong with me." Um, so I think that's the first barrier, is just that thought that like it's like going to see a cardiologist when there's nothing wrong with your heart. Like I don't have a heart problem, so that's what people think. But like I said, physio is something that everyone should have in their back pocket, because it's like you go to your dentist a couple of times a year. You don't have to have something wrong with your teeth to go to a dentist. I believe that physio is one of those things that you need in your arsenal like that. Um, I think another barrier that women face is funds, is money. And I think
Mhm.
this is the thing that really upsets me, is that, you know, women are cared for by the system, up until the baby is born, and then
Yeah.
the system kind of leaves them to themselves. And that is when they need help the most. That is when they need physiotherapy. That's when they need therapy. That's when like counseling. That's when they need help. But the system isn't set up to help people pay for those kind of things, right? It's
Totally.
almost like you're doing it on your own dime.
Yeah.
And most of the time, like if you're home with your baby, you're either on maternity leave, if you have a job, or you're a stay-at-home mom. Either way, you don't have any extra money to spare,
Absolutely.
and that really holds women back. But like I've said earlier, and I always tell my clients, look, if you needed to go to your dentist, you go to your dentist for your 2 or 3 cleanings a year, because you don't want to have dentures at 50. Go to your physio 2 or 3 times a year, so that you're not walking with a cane or with a walker
Yeah.
at 50 as well, right? So I think it's one of those things where I really have to work with moms to kind of get past that mindset that,
Yeah.
oh, this is it, it's not covered by my benefits, so it's not important, and it's not necessary. It is
Yeah,
very, very necessary. And so I'd say those are the two biggest frustrations for me, is that,
definitely.
I mean, the first one isn't really a frustration. It's more like a mindset thing where you
Yeah.
have to get moms to understand that it's not because I think you're broken that I'm sending you to a physiotherapist. I just think that based on these complaints that you keep having, maybe you need someone that's able to touch and feel and see better than me what's going on.
Yeah.
And then the financial barrier is what a lot of women complain about too.
Definitely, yeah. Which is surprising again, like after when we were talking about that rehab before too, is that people who come out of a different operation, so say like a knee surgery or a shoulder surgery,
Yeah.
they end up getting 7 free visits covered by Alberta Health Services. And so that is something that could definitely be offered to new
Yeah.
moms. And it's
Yeah.
just completely not.
Like, as you said that, I'm like, getting a cesarean section is the same as getting like an intense surgery. Like, they're
Yeah,
cutting through 7 layers
it's
of like
outrageous.
skin and tissue,
Yeah,
and you don't get the, complimentary visit with a physio to go make
exactly.
sure that everything is fine. You don't even get a complimentary visit with anybody. Like, you
Nobody.
get a 6 week checkup, and maybe they'll look at your scar if you complain.
Yeah,
But I've had two cesarean sections, and neither time I complained. So neither time no one actually bothered to look at what was going on under my shirt.
right.
And that is absurd.
It
Like,
is. It's like you just had a major surgery.
and like, it's just like what you said at the beginning, like, women are just expected to just, like, it's what your body is made for,
Yeah,
to just recover. No,
it's
no, you need
not.
tools,
Exactly.
right?
There's
So
more. There's more to it. And I think, yeah, even just having like this conversation and getting that information out there is just huge so that women do know that like these services exist and we're here to help you.
exactly. Yes, exactly. Wow, wow. This has been like amazing. And I know, like, Hannah and I could literally sit here and chat
Yeah.
all day long and give you guys all the tea on everything that we've heard and seen and experienced in our line of businesses. But we just wanted to come on here today and just break it down a little bit for you. And I hope that as you've listened to us chat here, you've heard a thing or two. And like, it doesn't even matter if you're 52, if you're 61, and you had your babies 40 years ago and you never saw a physiotherapist, or you never like got checked, or all that stuff. We talked about pelvic floor physio last week. If you've never done any of that stuff, it is never too late.
Never too
You
late.
can go now. You can go see Hannah. She will whip you into shape the right kind of way.
In the right way.
In the right way. Yes, she will not hurt you, I promise. And so, yeah, for those of you who are watching on here, if you are not already following over at Postpartum Wellness Hub, please go follow there. We have a huge, huge announcement coming in the month of April. Hannah is one of our partners, and you will understand a little bit more about what that is. But we've kind of touched a little bit on it today. We've talked about how these resources are not made available to women, how people don't even know about this. And that is one of the things that Postpartum Wellness Hub is here to do. It's here to educate you. It's here to help you. It's here to give you direct access to amazing people like this. And we've got a big announcement coming in April, I promise you. But Hannah will be one of the lovely ladies that you'll get to meet through the Postpartum Wellness Hub as things progress. So follow her over at Hand Physio, and then go follow us over at Postpartum Wellness Hub. And then if you need to reach Hannah, how can people reach out to you if they need you after they've
Anything?
heard this today?
Feel free to send me a message on Instagram at handphysio. And my email's on there as well. You can directly email me through there, but you can shoot me a DM. That's probably the easiest way.
Yeah, and where are you located in Calgary for those of us who are here, so that they can know like what part of town, what part of city?
Yeah, awesome. I work downtown Calgary. We do have free parking available as well if you're not the one to drive downtown. And so that's the only location I'm out of at the moment.
Yeah, so Hannah is downtown, so she's central, so she's not too far from anybody. So yeah,
Exactly.
check her out, go follow her. And yeah, thank you all for joining us today. Sincere apologies once again for
Yeah.
our technical issues at the beginning. Instagram was just not our